I've recently been dabbling with Google's new Performance Max campaigns, and I got my own campaign set up and launched on there. Now, if you're not familiar with Performance Max campaigns, basically what they've done is they've said, or Google has said, hey, set your conversion event and then just set up this campaign and we will run ads on all of these different platforms. YouTube, Gmail, Google Search, pay-per-click, traditional Google ads, for those of us that have been in this business a long time, and then display and discover. Now, I do run ads on all of these platforms individually, and in some cases, I run ads for the same offer on all of these platforms, so it's really nice to see it combined into one campaign, and hopefully this Performance Max campaign or the new settings they've got for Performance Max ultimately work out and they get you more conversions at a lower cost with simplicity. But in doing this, in setting up my new campaign, there were two settings that I noticed that I think could really throw a lot of people for a curveball, really kind of trip things up. So let me just address those and share what I think they are or what I've seen here. The first one happens up here in budget and bidding. All right, where it says, what do you want to focus on? Conversions. Well, in my account, I have literally got dozens of conversions. I've got health insurance leads. I've got over 65 health insurance leads, under 65 health insurance leads. I've got auto insurance, motorhome insurance, accident insurance, disability insurance, auto financing, motorcycle financing, right? So I've got a bunch of different conversion events. So it's very important that I select the right conversion event that this campaign is for. And when you get funneled into setting up your new Performance Max campaign, in some cases, you might have the option to select it. In some other cases, depending on how you get there, you might just end up at this screen and it's like, what do you want to focus on? Conversions. Well, which conversion? So you have to specifically select that conversion event. Now, obviously, you see that I cannot select it here. There's no way for me to select it right here. So what I've done, or what I did, is I basically just went through, completed the new campaign build out, and then once it was done, I went into the settings on the left, and then I can select goal, and I can select my specific goal for the campaign. So anyways, yes, I came through after it was completed and selected that specific goal that I'm using, or that I want to optimize for, so that I'm not just optimizing for all of the dozen random events in my account. The other one lives here under campaign settings and then more settings. Okay, and then there's this final URL expansion. And by default, it's set to on. Send traffic to the most relevant URLs on your site. So what will happen is you'll set up all of your assets or all of your ads or the creative assets that are used to complete and create and build your ads. And then with this setting on, Google will scan your website and then find the most relevant URLs that it thinks people are going to convert. But now when you do the math on that, think about how many more variations that means Google has to test to ultimately find out what's going to convert. That's literally, I mean, if you have a website with, it's not uncommon to see a small website with 100 pages, but if you've got 1,000 pages, or even forget about the 1,000 pages. If you've just got a small website with that 100 pages, you literally multiply all of your combinations to the power of 100, right? That they can run. So there's so much more that Google has to do to get the data to ultimately figure out what the best URL is. So what you need to do is create a specific landing page that's focused on that one specific conversion event. If you watch any of my other videos, or even if you just look at any of the pay-per-click advertisers that are spending a ton of money on pay-per-click ads, I'm talking in the millions of dollars a month. And in the insurance space, there's a bunch of them. In the financial service space, there's a bunch of them. In the automotive space, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of markets out there, or industries where pay-per-click costs are literally millions of dollars a month. If you look at the companies and the landing pages that are running ads in those spaces, you will see that they're focused on driving you to one specific conversion event. Anyways, you need to have a landing page that's focused on that, and therefore you need to turn this setting to off. Send traffic to provided URLs only. Why Google has this in there, I'm not really sure. Possibly because they know that many advertisers just don't focus on landing page optimization and such. But if you are a performance marketer, if you're a direct response marketer, you should be using specific landing pages. Therefore, you do not want Google sending traffic all over your website. Even in theory, if they could find the best performing URL, it would take so long to actually find it that it would probably negate most of the value of the Performance Max campaign. So those are the 2 checkpoints that I found, or 2 things that I think you really need to check and make sure you've got set correctly. And I think a lot of people will mess that up, particularly in the beginning here, right? When Google asks, what do you want to focus on, conversions? Well, Google will create their own vanity conversions in your account. I've talked about this. I've seen where they have you put your phone number in, and they consider clicks on your phone number as a conversion, but we all know that's not a real conversion because it pops up on your phone when the user wants to connect and says, hey, do you want to connect to this phone number? And the percentage of people that actually click to connect is very small, but Google still counts all those as a conversion. I've also seen it where they consider clicks on your map profile a conversion, but that's not a conversion, that's just a glorified click. It's not even a glorified click, it's just a basic click that they're calling a conversion, right? So you really need to make sure that you've got that specific conversion event set up and selected, and then ultimately that you've got this setting right here to only send traffic to the URLs provided. So guys, on that note, if you found this video helpful and insightful, let me know in the comments below. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'm signing off on this one.